Well, hey there, friends. I'm Melanie, your close to my heart maker, and I'm so glad you joined me today. I haven't posted in a while, as you can hear from my voice. I'm a little bit hoarse. In fact, last week I didn't even hardly have a voice, which was kind of tough since I had a very special out-of-town guest. But anyway, I'm back at it, and we'll make the best of it today. What I want to do for today's layout is use this collection from The Good Life, and I have just a few pieces left, as you can see here. But I thought this collection was perfect to help me document these photos of my daughter. She's decided she lives on a farm, I guess. But she does have chickens in their backyard. They do live in an area where that is possible. And they actually have, I think, 3 chickens that give eggs. And unbeknownst to them, it's kind of a funny story, they got a rooster. So I'll talk to you more about that later. But for right now, these are kind of the papers I want to go with, I know, and these pictures, and I'm really not quite sure where I'm going with all this, but stick around and we'll make it work. Now, I do know that I want to start with a sketch to kind of give me some inspiration and jumping off point. So I'm turning again to our volume 6, Make It From Your Heart sketchbook. And I like this 2-page layout here on page 30, and that's pattern number 13 with 4 photos. And I actually have 5 photos. So I'm going to move this out of the way and bring in my paper. I'm starting with 2 pieces of 12 by 12 French vanilla cardstock. And then I've cut down a piece of Harbor cardstock to a 9-inch circle. And then underneath there, I've got some strips that I will be adding. And I'm going to put them underneath like so. And then another one. This one comes from the mix-in pack. It coordinates very nicely with this paper. And then the right-hand page has the same pattern pieces laid out. They're just cut a little bit shorter than the ones on this side. And then it has the matching circles that go down the side over here. And then I've got 2 more that I did a treatment to, and I will show you how I did that in just a minute. I left one of the circles blank so that I could show that to you. And then over here, let's scoot back over here to the left-hand side. I absolutely love this windmill from the Good Life collection, and I'm bound and determined to use it on a layout so it doesn't get covered up. So I think if I put it on all the way up to the left-hand side of the paper, that will work. And then I've got this strip, which is the reverse, the brown polka dot from the Good Life collection as well. And if we put that there, it kind of gives it a nice border. So I think I am going to go ahead and ink the edges with some espresso because it's one of the coordinating colors in the cardstock pack. So I'm going to take my rounded sponge dauber, espresso ink, and just go around and ink up the edges of all these pieces of pattern cardstock, and that will help to kind of give that like that more rustic look, which is this layout seems to be taking that kind of a turn. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish those all up and be right back. So I've got it inked up, and let's put this about where I want it. And I think this strip is going to go down here along the bottom, and then the circle will go about like so. And I know my 4x6 picture is going to go in the center. Excuse me, before I adhere all that down though, I did want to go ahead and work on this piece. I promised I would show you how I did those 2 pieces. So I want to go ahead and get started on this because that takes a couple minutes to dry. I go ahead and bring in an all-purpose mat, and I need my circle, and I had a stencil. This will work with any stencil that you have, but I had a stencil in my stash, a Tim Holtz. It's actually a honeycomb stencil, but I thought, you know, that kind of mimicked the chicken wire. So I'm using my stencil, And then I found this really cool stuff at Joann's the other day called Distress Grit Paste, and this is opaque, and it's from Ranger. And it's hard to tell, of course, in the photo, but it feels like sand. It's very gritty. And I'm also going to be using my Distress Stain. So first I'm going to get some of that grit paste, and with a palette knife, just do like you normally do with a stencil, and just place it. Just keep smoothing it like you're icing a cake, and all over. And I don't really care if I even get it all because I want it to look really organic. And then I just scrape off the extra and put that back in the jar. And this is the hardest part. You have to let it sit and dry. I'm not very patient with that. Are you very patient with that? I certainly am not. So when I lift off the stencil, then I have that look. All right, so now that it's dry, and yes, I am very impatient, I took my heat gun and went over it. It didn't take long to get that to dry. So then now I want to get that brownish color. I've got this Distress Stain in Vintage Photo, and it's got a spongy top. And if I just press down, I just kind of dab it around. And I don't want it that dark. I just take a paper towel and I dab it up like so. And I just keep going around until I get the color that I want. And again, take my just a paper towel, and I'm just dabbing off the color. And when it dries back, it'll dry more to that color. So there you have it. That's how I did that effect. Now I'm ready to put on some of the background pieces before I start putting on my photos and embellishing. And I'm putting this strip at 1 1/4 inches from the bottom, and my Versamat obviously was really good at helping me measure that. I'm wiping my paper because I have a lot of that grit from that grit paste on there. All right, and then the circle's going to go here, but I almost forgot. Before I adhere that down, I think I want to distress it up a little bit on the edges with some sandpaper. Because the Close to My Heart cardstock has that white core, you can do that. Then you just take your sandpaper, nailing file, whatever you have, and you can sand up the edges and expose that white core as much, like that, or as little as you like. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that because that's kind of noisy. All right, so that harbor piece is sanded, and I actually went ahead and did some more on the inside, just kind of did the whole thing. Now I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down with my big old adhesive gun here. And I am going to center it a little bit, so it would be at 11 and 2 and 2 down there. And the thing is, I wanted it to be just resting on this piece here and just coming over that just a little bit as well. And I know my picture's going to go in here. Before I get my picture and everything down, I want to work on the title here and here. I'm going to go ahead excuse me, and put my title on. Now what I did is I saved the negative from where I cut the letters out, and it's on a curve that matches this circle. So I just lined it up, kind of eyeballed it with how the circle is there, and just scoot it up where I want it on my paper, and then I can put the letters right inside that negative space, and they should be spaced out just right. Now let's see, I need to move this down a little bit closer to me. I'll try to still keep you in camera, but I'll pick up my letter. All right, can you see what I did there? So this Distress Stain, I think, is one of my new favorite things. I have had this stuff in my stash, you guys, forever. And I just recently discovered how fun it is. Do you guys have that? Do you have a lot of stuff in your stash that you totally forgot about or didn't know how to use? Well, yeah, I do too. And it's a mission my mission to try to use my stash. So I'm just going to slip that inside the negative space. And then when I do that to the rest of the letters, I'll lift this up and they should be in the right place. So I'll go ahead and finish that and be right back. All right, can you see the title is on up there? And then I was going to put the rest of it, the eggs that I found there, but since I kind of distressed that, I thought I needed to do this too. And the idea is to make it look like an old metal sign. And this is another one of my new favorite tools, is this sea sponge. And I'm just picking up some of that distress ink and going over the letters with the sea sponge. And that kind of makes it look like an old rusty sign. And if you caught one of my last videos with the Good Life collection, with my dad on the farm, I did this to the windmill too, so it doesn't look like a brand new white sign. And I like how that sea sponge picks up that ink, but then just leaves kind of those pockets of rust, rust-looking pockets there. All right, so I'm going to line this up. Let me clean this mat up though and get this out of my way. Just going to wipe that up, set this aside. To help me get this lined up straight, I'm using my T-square ruler and I'm putting these about in the center where I think they're going to go. Now, if you're wondering how I made this title, what I do is I go into Cricut Design Space and I go into the phrases part of it and I type in the words that I want. In this case it was eggs. All I typed in was eggs. And I got this that said farm fresh eggs. Here we go. Daily delivery. So I just took it apart and turned it into a print and cut. And I do have a full-length video explaining how I do that. And I will link to that below in the description box. But I'm going to fiddle with this and get that on in the right place. It's time now that we've got that part down to go ahead and put down the picture. And using my advanced tape glider. Ooh, sorry, that was a little noisy. And I'm going to put it right there under the title. All right, so let's bring in some of the embellishments. I've got some of the, got the barn from the coordinating wood shapes. And this barn actually came in two pieces. And I just made this outline piece darker with, you guessed it, my Distress Stain vintage photo. So that's going to go there. And then I have a bucket somewhere. Here it is. This is from the SVG collection. Excuse me, from the Good Life Coordinating SVG collection. And I made it a print and cut. And then again used my sponge and the Distress Stain to give it that oxidized look. I'm going to slide that in there, and the barn's going to go like that. And then we have our title. Isn't that cute? Farm Fresh Eggs, Daily Delivery. We have a lot of good eggs here at my house now. And I've got the chicken comes from this set called Locally Grown Stampin' Thin Cut Set. And I was at a retreat. Well, actually, I hosted a retreat recently, and my good friend Katie Weeks was there, and she had this set. And she was gracious enough to allow me to borrow it and cut out the pieces I needed. So I've got the chicken, and I colored that with the colored pencils. And this fence, I'm going to do the same thing with. So I thought I'd show you that real quick, and I'm not going to be real fancy with this. I'm just very lightly coloring it in with the one color, the lightest brown. And because the stamp has all the black on it already, it gives it a nice shaded look. So I'm just coloring that in with the brown very quickly. And let's do this one real quick, and then I'll try to come in with a darker brown to get some of those shadows on the underneath right down here. And these pencils, can I just say, blend together so nicely because they are a wax pencil. So they get a real nice blended look. You can blend right over top of them. and it makes it so easy to do your shading. All right, I'm going to go ahead and finish that. All right, so the left-hand side is done, and I realized I hadn't been working on the right-hand side, but I'll pull that in real quick and work on that. But I wanted to show you I did put the title down and the chicken with some foam tape, and the rest I put down just with some liquid adhesive. So then we're going to pull in the right-hand side and get that adhered down. And you want to make sure that's even with that. And then these 3 circles are going over here, like so. And I've got the windmill cut out in the truck from the Good Life scrapbooking set. And up here I've got another one of the chickens, and I just cut out the phrase locally grown. And then the milk jug comes from the sticker sheet, like so. And then here I'm just going to put a few lines of journaling. And then the chicken pictures. And Mr. Rooster, I think his name is Smokey. And one of these chickens might be named Hey Hey, I think. So they're going to go like that. And I actually kind of want them to be lined up with the bottom of that circle here. And like so. And then these will go here, kind of in line with that circle at the top, and space them out. So let me get that adhered down and I'll be right back. Got everything adhered down. Last thing I need to do is put the pictures on, and I'm going to use my advanced tape glider to do that because I need a good strong adhesive. These stickers got a little warped from the stencil paste. So I do want to put that on with a little bit stronger adhesive, and my ATG gun is pretty strong. So, and this one I did adhere some of the stickers down with foam tape to give it a little bit more dimension and kind of go along with what's down there in the other corners. So let's slide this up at the top. Locally grown, that's pretty perfect, isn't it? And then this one, like I said, I'm going to do some journaling on that and some journaling strips. I might put just some basic information. I'm thinking about putting a hidden journal pocket on the back, which would give some more of kind of a funny background story to the chickens. But there you go. That's kind of it. Except for one more thing I wanted to do. I kind of want to continue this sponging around the edges of the French vanilla cardstock. Sometimes I put, when I have French vanilla or a white background, I'll put it on a frame style layout, but I didn't have that, excuse me, on this layout. So inking up the edges helps the pages get a little bit more definition. So while I'm doing that, I want to make sure I ask you to please, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And once you subscribe, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can get those all-important notifications every time I upload a video. And I do try to do it once a week. But like I say, sometimes life gets in the way and I just can't get around to it. And if you like the products you see here, please consider going to my website to shop for those products, and you will find links, direct links to the products that I use listed down below, as well as some links to some of the materials that I use that you might be able to find on Amazon. I do a lot of my printing from home on my pictures. Well, actually I do all my printing from home on my pictures. And I have an old selfie, like one of the first ones that ever came out. I remember we were all so excited when those came out. And I have a CP910 that I use. It still works pretty good. It doesn't do the 5x6, of course, so I'm looking into upgrading to that, but I do have that linked. The selfie printer that I use, I do have that linked down below, as well as some of these other products that I've talked about here today. And also, while you're down there, be sure to check out the VIP program if you like the Close to My Heart products and think you might be a frequent purchaser. The VIP program is a good way to earn cashback bonuses, or 15% back, every time you shop. It's like being paid to shop, and what could be better than that? So there you go. We have this double page layout of my daughter and her chickens made with the Good Life collection from Close to My Heart. So that does it for me today, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. If you're still with me, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, like I said. And for still shots of this layout, I will have them posted on my Facebook and Instagram, and you can find those links down below in the description box as well. So that's it for me today, folks. Go out and have a crafty day. Bye-bye.